What up is Marcus Dynasty Fun Dads. NFL Fantasy Football Twitter tweeted out their top 25 breakouts upcoming for this 2022 season. So I figured let's do a little buy or sell. What do I think about the top 25 breakouts? We're going to do a little bit more in depth for the first 7, 8, and then we're just going to do kind of a quick buy or sell. I do have a DeAndre Swift signed jersey. You just got to be a subscriber for a chance to win. We're going to start off with their number one, which is Kyle Pitts, and this is a big buy for me. We look at Kyle Pitts, over 1,000 yards, 1 touchdown. That was the big issue, is he just didn't score touchdowns. Now, I don't think it's going to get a ton better with Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder, but I think it's going to get a little bit better. You're talking about 4 or 5 touchdowns. I think still 1,000 yards. We look at a guy who had 110 targets, 68 receptions. That's definitely replicable. I think is the correct word. It's definitely you can definitely have that again for his sophomore season. He is the extreme elite talent. I know Drake London's there. I know you have Brian Edwards there now, but I think that Kyle Pitts is the immediate alpha there, and so you talk about a guy who is 6th in PPR, 9th in standard. I like him to at least get into that top 5. I think we need to talk about 6th in PPR. I could easily see him being into that top 4 category. You have Kelsey, you have Kittle, you have Andrews. I think Waller's going to have a drop off. Hawkinson might flirt in there a little bit, but I think Pitts is easily going to be into that top 4 or 5 category. So a breakout, what do you think a breakout stands for when it comes to NFL fantasy football? Probably top 5, and I would easily have him as a top 5. Their number 2 is Michael Pittman, and Michael Pittman is a kind of like that middle of man, is he a buy, is he a sell? His value has been increasing a ton lately in average draft position, but 1,082 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. He was 16th in standard, 17th in PPR. So, a breakout, a top 12 wide receiver, now with a new quarterback in Matt Ryan. I'm going to say yes. I think he's going to sneak in and be like wide receiver 11, wide receiver 12. Just a slight increase here. I don't think it's going to be by a ton, but I do think Michael Pittman will be the alpha in that offense easily. I mean, there is no competition for Michael Pittman, and so I believe it. 24, you're talking about a guy who's 6'4", 223 pounds. He has every single attribute that you would want in a breakout here. So these are definitely a couple buys here. The first sell we have is Jalen Hurts. We talked about a guy who's 23 years old. When I think of a breakout, though, 9th in overall at QB and 9th at QB, 10th overall when it comes to fantasy points. He played 15 games. The biggest issue that I have is the 10 rushing touchdowns. 784 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns, which is, I mean, you looked at Kyler Murray. It's hard to repeat over every single year. And so, yes, Jalen Hurts, who had 3,100 yards, he had 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, which is absolutely horrible for touchdowns. I think when you talk about a breakout, you want him to get into that Hurts category. You want him into that Dak Prescott category, that top 5 category. And I think in fantasy, I think he's going to have an up-down year. He's going to be 7, 8, somewhere around there. And I think Jalen Hurts, especially long-term, I don't think he's going to break out by any means. I think A.J. Brown's going to be a little bit of a help there, but his passing is going to go up. His rushing is going to go down. I think Miles Sanders is going to get some more touchdowns this year, and they're going to use Kenneth Gainwell as well. That's kind of weird. Kenneth Gainwell. They're going to use him also in the offense. So this is a sell here for me. So I don't think he's going to necessarily be a breakout. So we have Kyle Pitts, yes. Michael Pittman, yes. Jalen Hurts, no. I don't think he's going to be a breakout. And the next one is going to be Jamante Williams, and this is it tears me apart. I'm gonna say this very, very. I don't even know how you want to say this. Is he a top 10 running back in 2022? I will say yes, but I think Melvin Gordon is going to be a problem from him to getting into that top 5. So is he a breakout? I'm gonna say, depending on what your language is here, top 5 running back. I'm gonna say no. Top 10 running back. I will say yes. He's gonna sneak kind of into that Michael Pittman range of wide receiver running back. It's that end of wide receiver 1 for Michael Pittman, end of running back 1 for Jamante Williams here. I mean, you look at some of the stats he had when Melvin Gordon was out. It was amazing. That Kansas City game was absolutely incredible. We looked at his almost 200 total yards. It's just like Melvin Gordon's just going to be frustrating. I was hoping so much that they would get rid of Melvin Gordon. If Melvin Gordon's gone, Jamante Williams, top 5 running back, I'm buying this. So depending on what you count as a breakout, it's a buy or sell. Travis Etienne. This is a tough one. I'm going to buy that he's a breakout in the fact that I think the breakout standard for Travis Etienne is going to be a lot lower because Javonte was already at RB2. Travis Etienne didn't even play last year. if you say breakout getting into that top 20 running backs, I think Travis Etienne can do that. So I'm going to say buy in that. But again, same kind of thing. If you think he's going to be a top 10 running back, I'm going to sell that. So the breakout is kind of like I think he's going to be an RB2. I don't think he's going to be an RB1. So that's the breakout buy sell there. Terry McLaurin, 24th in standard, 25th in PPR. It's pretty much been his go-to. Has been that high-end wide receiver 2, or high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2. 1,053 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, look at the year prior, 1,118 yards and 4 touchdowns. Carson Wentz, we talk about how great Michael Pittman's going to do because Carson Wentz is gone, and now we think that Terry McLaurin is just going to jump up into that higher stratosphere having a different quarterback. And I'm going to sell this. I think Jahan Dotson's going to take a piece of that. Curtis Samuel's coming back. I think they're going to run the ball a lot through their 3 running backs there. And we still have J.D. McKissick as well. So I'm going to sell. And the fact that Terry McLaurin is an excellent wide receiver, but I don't think he's going to get into this top 15 category. I think when you look at him, he's going to be 20, 22, 24. He's going to have 1,100 yards and 5-6 touchdowns. And you're going to be like, well, I mean, that's still good. I mean, it's still a very valuable fantasy asset, but not to the point that we are going to think of a breakout. I think of a breakout being like 1,400 yards and 8-9 touchdowns. I'm thinking of the Michael Pittman jump, and I don't think he's going to make that, unfortunately. The last one, the last one that we're going to go in depth on, and then we're going to do some quick ones. Cam Akers, sell. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. You know my feelings on Cam Akers. I don't think, I mean, he's being drafted as a high running back, and you look at the playoffs last year, I mean, you even look at his rookie year, where he only had 625 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was in 12 games. This is a sell for me. I can't see him being a successful running back in the top 15. I mean, I see him, if I had to choose Cam Akers or Travis Etienne, I'm choosing Travis Etienne as a running back over Cam Akers. I understand Cam Akers is 23, but we'll see if that explosiveness is there at all. I mean, we saw in the playoffs that it was just non-existent, so we shall see. But I'm selling Cam Akers as a breakout. All right, number 8, it says J.K. Dobbins. I'm buying J.K. Dobbins as a breakout, as being, I would rather have J.K. Dobbins over Cam Akers, easily, in my opinion. So I am buying, we'll just say, a breakout. In theory, a breakout. I'm not going to go into the exact details as the other players. Trey Lance, I'm going to sell on Trey Lance being a breakout this year. I think it's going to be a rough patch for him, considering that he hasn't played football in a long time. I mean, we're talking basically 3 years, it seems like. Gabriel Davis. I'm going to sell in Gabriel Davis. I understand that this is the hardest person probably to judge, in my opinion, because Gabriel Davis showed out in the playoffs. But you also have Stephon Diggs, and Josh Allen has shown that he is willing to just kind of go away with Gabriel Davis. That 1 or 2 games has really been a tough thing. It's like when Jay Ajayi had the 2-3 games of rushing that were absolutely amazing, and the rest was absolutely crap, and then Jay Ajayi became crap. I think Gabriel Davis is going to be somebody that's going to be overdrafted, and I'm just selling Gabriel Davis, but I know that in the realm of possibility, he could become this superstar. He could become it. I don't think so. I think that's going to be a very low percentage. The next one, Breece Hall. Breakout in 2022? No. Breakout in 2023? Yes. I think this is going to be the classic Jonathan Taylor route. The first 8 games are going to be frustrating. It's going to be a lot of like Michael Carter, Breece Hall kind of working into the NFL level. You look at the last 8 games, they're going to be really, really good. And you're going to start seeing that transition of like, okay, this is why Breece Hall is going to be a round 1 draft pick in redraft in 2023. Number 12, Jerry Jeudy. Number 13, Courtland Sutton. Let's talk to them together. Who do I think is going to be the breakout? I think it's going to be Jerry Jeudy. I like Courtland Sutton, but I think Jerry Jeudy is going to be the breakout. I think Courtland Sutton is going to have an okay year, but I think Jerry Jeudy is going to be the alpha of that offense. He's more talented than Courtland Sutton, in my opinion. He's a better route runner, and I think he's going to be utilized better with Russell Wilson at quarterback. Number 14, Rashad Bateman. This is going to be a good breakout here. He's the alpha. I think he's going to have a solid year, kind of like Marquise Brown did last year. Lamar has no one else to throw to besides Mark Andrews, so he's got to throw it to somebody, even if it's only 200 yards a game. Not all of it's going to go to Mark Andrews. I mean, most of it can go to Mark Andrews, but not all of it. Number 15, Kadarius Toney. I am selling. I think the Giants are selling on Kadarius Toney when they drafted Wan'Dale Robinson. And you just look at Kadarius Toney. He's had a couple great games, but I don't even know if he can actually stay on the field health-wise. I mean, you got kicked out of a game. I am selling on Kadarius Toney here. Number 16, Rashad Penny, selling. There's a reason why they drafted Ken Walker. I understand that Rashad Penny might start off the season, the first couple games, he might start off hot, but Ken Walker will be the running back starter the last, at least 6-7 games, and you're talking about maybe even the last like 8-9 games, which is the most important for fantasy football. I don't want somebody that's going to be good for the first couple of weeks and then be bad. Number 17, number 18 are Drake London and Treylon Burks. Sell. They're not going to be breakouts in 2022. I mean, rookie wide receivers are very rare to be breakouts unless you're Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, or Justin Jefferson, which are you're the exception to the norm. The normal is like Devontae Smith or Rashad Bateman or some of these wide receivers that struggle as a rookie or just produce 900 yards and then like 5 touchdowns, and you're like, well, that wasn't a breakout. I don't believe that is a breakout. And so I am selling on both of those wide receivers. I think this class is just not a lot weaker, but just a downgrade compared to the previous 2 classes. I don't see any rookie wide receivers doing any type of breakout in 2022. Number 19, Cole Kmet. I like Cole Kmet. I think that in this year, I think he's going to be the best chance of being that breakout, that jump from into that tight end 7-8 category. And so I love Cole Kmet, and you get Jimmy Graham and his touchdowns away. So I like Cole Kmet getting some touchdowns, actually. I mean, that would be something new. Number 20 and 21 is Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. This is a tough one because they're both freshman quarterbacks that struggled a lot. Justin Fields struggled a little less than Trevor Lawrence, but I'm just going to buy on him because I feel like their talent is super well. But I mean, this is so I think when you look at the shift with some of these sophomore quarterbacks, I know I sold on Lance, but Lance is I think being drafted a lot higher and has a lot more higher expectations, at least ADP wise, and even fantasy experts out there wise. I think Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are 2 2 quarterbacks that are going to have a very substantial better sophomore years than their freshman years. And I think Zach Wilson is in that category as well. Irv Smith, I'm selling Irv Smith. Skull, I know, but I just think that Irv Smith is just not going to be what you want him to be. You want him to be in the Cole Kmet category, and I would easily rather have Cole Kmet, Dalton Schultz, any of these other tight ends than Irv Smith. In fact, I'd rather have Zach Ertz, even though Zach Ertz in his age over past 30, versus Irv Smith. I think Irv Smith is going to be utilized, is going to be really well as a Viking in their football games, but I think when you look at fantasy production-wise, which is all we care about, he's not going to be there where you want. Tua Tagovailoa, did I say that right? I think he's going to have a breakout year as well. You look at this is boomer bust year. If he was drafted in most dynasty drafts ahead of Herbert. So when you look at him versus Herbert, Herbert's by and far like the better quarterback now. But we look at Tua, he had the ability and the talent. He now has the weapons around him to be a successful quarterback. He's got Chase Edmonds in the backfield on like 3rd downs. He's got Hill and Waddle, 2 exceptional wide receivers that all he has to do is really dump it off and let them do the work. And so I think Tua's going to have a good year fantasy-wise and a good breakout. Damian Pierce, this is a flyer that if you can get late enough in rookie drafts, I'm fine taking, but we just have to understand he's not a day 1 or a day 2 pick when it comes to fantasy football, so we have to temper our expectations, and Houston is a mess. I could easily see them being a team that you see Rex Burkhead more than you want to see Rex Burkhead. You see other running backs in that roster more than you want to. You'll see Royce Freeman, for love of all God, versus Damian Pierce. And you're like, why? Damian Pierce is more talented. And arguably he could be more talented than those other running backs. And I like Damian Pierce, but I think as a breakout, it just depends on what your expectations are. But I'm going to say no. And then Isaiah Spiller, too. He's the number 25 here. I'm going to say no on Isaiah Spiller. I like the video and the tape and everything like that. His combine and stuff was horrible. We don't need to even talk about that aspect. But you have Austin Eckler there. I think Isaiah Spiller is not a breakout here. I just don't. I think that if you look at any running backs in the draft class, not named Kenneth Walker, not named Breece Hall. In fact, I don't think anybody's going to have a successful running back rookie year outside of Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker's final half of the season. So just remember that, kind of temper those expectations. We always think, oh my goodness, they're going to be so good. And then you get J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor. You had Marlon Mack and you had Mark Ingram, running backs that were far inferior of those other 2 running backs, be primarily ball carriers the first 6, 7, 8 weeks. And then the other rookies struggled. So we have to understand that and put that into perspective here. And I think that's going to be a big thing in keys on how to figure out who's going to break out and who's not, and who to draft and redraft and who to trade for halfway through the seasons in redraft and in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Okay? This is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads. Peace out. We'll see you again tomorrow.